In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Welcome to Westerer is besterer from the Scarlet Supporters Podcast, bringing you the scores and previews for the community game and everything that's rugby related in West Wales. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Westerer is besterer, the scores and previews rundown of last weekend's games and this weekend's games. If you want to listen to us rabble on about Wales and Fiji and Scarlet stuff, you can find that on our Scarlet Supporters podcast. But in the meantime, it is me and Big M, and we're going to have a look at the community game in West Wales. How are you, Martin? How are things?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm running a bit tired now. I feel like we've been doing this for quite a few hours now.
It seemed like a good idea when we discussed this last year, didn't it?
It really did.
Right, let's have a look at some of the scores from Championship West. Just to make sure everyone's caught up, the old Championship, which sits below the Premiership, so the Championship is now split into West and East. And our teams in that Championship are Newcastle, Emlyn, Crymych, and Narberth. And I don't care what Martin says about how far west Newcastle, Emlyn are. They're in the West because otherwise we haven't got enough teams and there's too many in the East and not enough in the West.
It just makes it split easier. Otherwise, I'll split. Westerer will only be on for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I haven't shared the photo of the map with the East-West split at a 45-degree angle yet. But so anyway, tough game to start with Newcastle Emlyn last week, 40-22 loss away in Brecon. But we were kind of expecting that with the signings that Brecon have made over the summer, weren't we?
Yeah, well, they've really done a lot of hard work, Brecon have. They pulled in so many players. They really are giving this Championship West a good go. And even though I can't see them coming out on top in the end, they're going to be in that title fight.
Yeah, it's going to be. You can see already there's going to be a couple of sides at the top of the table that are going to battle it out between themselves. And one of them may well be Llangennech, who, I was expecting this to be a lot closer against Crymych. So it was 47-27 in Crymych. I was expecting that to be a lot closer than what that actually was.
Yeah. I'm not entirely surprised. I mean, we saw the result from the back end of last season where Llangennech done the double over them. And now with the sort of demise of Llanelli, they are the highest ranked club then, we should say, in the Llanelli area. So I think they've really backed themselves and they've worked unbelievably hard over the summer. And, just like Brecon, I think they're going to be up there in the title fight. Not quite winning it, but they're going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah. And then the other side that we are, I'd be shocked if they weren't in top three bare minimum come the last couple of weeks of the season. Narberth, bit of a tonking, 59-18 to Trebanos. I mean, Trebanos were a couple of positions below Narberth last year, comparatively, I think. So, yeah, that's a hell of a win for Narberth. Am I right in thinking that they were kind of mid-table to lower mid-table last year?
12th, mate.
So I was wrong then. I thought they were better. I thought they were better than that. But 59, 59-18.
Yeah, but we all know Narberth. We know the sort of quality they hold. They really are the kings of West Wales, so to speak. And this result is just just another little notch to say this is who we are, this is how good we are.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering warm-up games over summer for Narberth have been pretty, not hit and miss, but the players available and the players that have turned out haven't necessarily been, all of the first teams. This is probably the first time the first team have played together properly since the end of last season. So, yeah, to turn in 59-18, albeit against the lower side, I don't know who I was thinking of mid-table, but it'll come to me later. But, still a hell of a score to rack up first game of the season, isn't it?
I mean, when it's a 12-team league, you'd hope that you wouldn't see many scores like this. But, we could be looking at first v 12th, really. So, maybe it's not that surprising once the end of the season comes. But right now it is. It's a good standard to set.
Yeah. So let's take a quick look at this weekend's games. And let's stay with Narberth first. So Narberth are away to Tata Steel, which, at one point last year, Tata Steel were on the point of folding. They couldn't raise a team, etc., etc. It was on the Welsh News and all that kind of stuff. So they did well to even make it to the end of the season. But I don't think they got a single point at the end of the season. If I remember correctly, I think they finished on like -2 points or something. They were fined for not turning in. So, yeah, I can't see Narberth running away with anything else other than bonus point win and all of that kind of stuff. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I can't see anything outside of a Narberth win. I mean, the fixture last year was, Narberth 36, Tata 3. I think it's going to be even bigger than that this time around.
Yeah, I think that 36-3 Narberth put out quite a few non-first team players, if you want to call it that, to give players a run. So, and they still run out hefty winners. So yeah, I can't see anything else other than that. So Newcastle Emlyn from the west against Amherstford from the east. Come on, so I don't care what you say. Newcastle in the west, and Westerer is besterer, so it's definitely a Newcastle Emlyn win for me on this one.
Nah, I can't remember if I picked a team by year, but on the off chance I've already picked Amherstford, I'm going to stay with them. This, this is a hard one to call because they come from different leagues, so we've got nothing to fall back on. No previous fixtures, no similar team results. So this is really a clash to say which league was best last year, one West or one West Central.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think we kind of need this now. I know it's not been some people are not happy with Championship West and what have you, but it does start to throw up fixtures like this. You go, yeah, well, when did Newcastle and then last play Amherstford? When did how do you compare that? So you are kind of challenging yourself against teams that you're not playing against every week. So yeah. I mean, I'm going to pick Newcastle Emlyn, but reality is I haven't got a clue until we've seen a couple of games being played, But yeah, more of these kind of games we need. And speaking of games that we haven't seen before, Crymych take a trip to Westerer, which, if Crymych travel anywhere past Carmarthen, they get a nosebleed. So, yeah. That's going to be a bit of a trip for them. What do you make of this game, mate?
I mean, again, it's exactly the same. Like you said, it's a game we haven't seen before. Westerer, really bottom of a tough championship last year. Crymych obviously getting promoted. I'd like to think that Crymych are slightly ahead of them, but in all honesty, I can't really say. I'm going to back Crymych just for the sake of them being West. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a really tight scoreline by here.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just in my head, it was just above Amherstford, but it's not. It's just to the east of Amherstford. So, yeah, I mean, the catchment area should be quite decent for Westerer. they're in Neath, Swansea kind of catchment area. They'll probably pick up quite a few Scarlets catchment area boys as well. So, but I just think it's a tiny little place. You've got Uster Gunlights right next to it. Giving myself a bit of a geography lesson while we've been on the pod. Yeah, I'd like to think Cribber can come away with a win, whether it's 3-0 or 30-0. I don't think they'll care. I think second game of the season, if you lose your first game of the season, it's really important to do something, not worry so much about how you play in that second game and make sure you get a win on the board in that second game. So I'm going to back Crimmock on that one, and I may even have a drive through Westerer every now and again just to find out where it is properly. Do you know what I mean? I've never been there before. Oh, did I? Oh, I might have played there before. Oh, I'll have to go to the pitch, and if I go to the pitch, I might have one of those like shock memories where you go, yeah, we did play here before. I think I have played there, but I'm not 100% certain. Anyway, I digress. Again. Division 1 West. So obviously we had the Aberystwyth game was quite rightly postponed against Kidwelly last weekend after the death of one of their players in France. And then, Whitland travelled to Llanelli Wanderers and just got tanked again. And yeah, it's hard to see where Whitland go from here. It really is. I can't. They used to be such a powerhouse. They were there. They were the team from West Wales. They were above Narberth. They were above Tenby. They were well above Crymych at one point. I can't see them staying up. I was hoping to see something in this first game, but losing 44-3 in your first game, you've got to put some real effort in to come back from that after that.
Yeah, it's not even losing 44-3 to a strong side. They've lost it to Llanelli Wanderers, and I don't mean any disrespect to them. They finished one place above Whitland last season. I know there was a fair bit of points difference, but it was the difference between 10th and 9th. So when that's the sort of scoreline coming in, when you've got 10v9 from last season, things aren't going well.
Yeah, definitely. So this weekend, they travel to Penclouth, Whitland on their way to Penclouth. What do you make of that one?
Well, this is another tricky one, if I'm honest. Penclouth forfeited the game in Whitland last year, and the game that went ahead in Penclouth finished in a 24-all draw. So
there's hope. There's hope for Whitland.
There's hope. There's a bit of hope. So we got to back Whitland. There's no point them being in our catchment if we're not going to back them. But realistically, this could be one of the very few opportunities of a win this season.
Yeah, and when you're talking like that in the second game of the season, it really tees you up for this is going to be another tough season for Whitland unless they turn something around pretty quickly, and as in this weekend. So the other game in Division 1 West is Aberystwyth away in Gosainen. Close game last time these two played. And hard to say without seeing Aberystwyth play last weekend, but what do you make of this weekend?
I'm exactly the same as you. We got two teams who were, really in contention for promotion for a lot of the year last season. And, a 3-point game last time out in this fixture, 20 points to 17 to the home side, Gosainen. So, Gosainen probably have a little bit of an advantage playing last week and being at home as well. I want to see Aberystwyth do it, but without that first game, we don't have nothing to go by. So I'm going to back him either way, but I'm prepared for everything.
Yeah, same here. It's hard to call this early in the season, but we're going to back Aberystwyth just because it's got something on, and we don't like Gosainen either. They're too close to Lacha. nuts to them. Right, so Division 2 West, a couple of cracking, almost local derbies last weekend. Fishguard came out on top against Milford 24-15, and Tenby came out on top against St Clears 23-17. So two similar scores, but two very different games. So from what I've read so far, Fishguard pretty much dominated the game with Milford, and Milford came back late on. And in the Tenby game, St Clears were up at half-time from what I saw, and then Tenby really turned around the second half performance. So I think the interesting thing on that, given that I've just listened to your Saucepan podcast, is Tenby were not affected by Ironman on Saturday. So
that's really disheartening to hear.
But yeah, so it's good to see a competitive game between Fishguard and Milford. To be honest, I thought I was worried at the start of the season. I said last week I wasn't sure how Fishguard were going to fare, given that they'd forfeited a cup game, I think it was, or they pulled out of a game somewhere. So yeah, 24-15, good win, and same against Tenby to come back, particularly early part of the season against a strong St Clair side, and they were strong by all accounts in that first half. To come back and win 23-17, fair plays to the boys. It's looking like another good season for the pair of them. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm on 1%, so it might not last very long.
Okay.
On to this weekend's action now. Fishguard travel to newly promoted Ammon United. And already mentioned the Tenby Ironman. Ammon United didn't have a fixture last week because they had so many boys in the Ironman. So thinking that those boys will be playing this week, they've got a really fit squad. So I don't know. I'm expecting a lot from Ammon with those sort of information coming at me.
Well, most of the boys that I know that did Ironman take at least 2 weeks to recover, but that's because most of them are my age. So there's a reason why I haven't done it yet, and because it takes you forever to recover from it. So yeah, I'm going to say Fishguard are going to put another number on Ammon. I think starting with a strong one like that, and Ammon missed first game of the season. I think Fishguard will be in a good place come this weekend. So then we've got Milford hosting Carmarthen Athletic. What do you make of that one?
You know, another really close one. It was 8-7 Milford last season, and I think that was a blip in Carmarthen Athletic season. So I would like to, Milford were really up and down. I mean, some of the performances they put in were, quite frankly, outrageous compared to some of the results they actually ended up with. But, seeing how Carmarthen Athletic, managed to get a win over Nancaredig this week, I think they're going to go one better this year. I think Carmarthen Athletic are going to take the win over Milford. Really sorry for Haven fans.
If I remember correctly, this was Milford won about 3 games last year with the last kick of the game, and this was one of them. I can't say that Milford have kicked on massively since last year. From last week's performance, I'd probably expect Carmarthen to have advanced more than Milford. So, yeah, I'd love to tip Milford to win this one, but I've got to go with Carmarthen on that one. But then Tenby Mumbles, Tenby travel away to Mumbles. I think the boys may just have that game quite comfortably. In all honesty, I think Tenby have improved since last season, and I think Mumbles are gonna get a bit of a tonking on Saturday. I think Tenby are bang up for it this weekend. So, what do you make of that game?
Well, I hope you are right. I really want Tenby to do well this season. I want them to come top and to get promoted. I want them to do well. It was a single score game last time out, 8 points to 3 in Tenby's favour. I mean, that first result over St Clair's can be really misleading because we don't know exactly how good St Clair's are compared to the sides in this league. So I think this will be a good marker for Tenby based on the teams that they played last season. Got to back Tenby. I'm backing them to go all the way and win the league. I'm saying that they'll probably finish 9th now, but I'm backing Tenby to do the number on Mumbles again.
Yeah, absolutely. And same with St Clair's and Ticroys. So Martyn's phone has just died, so I'm just going to carry on rambling with some of Martyn's notes from what you were saying. So St Clair's and Ticroys again. We haven't got any data from previous meetings on that, so it is kind of finger in the air time. But St Clair's we were impressed by last year. Both myself and Martyn very impressed with St Clair's last year. So we're going to back the boys again, and hopefully come middle of the season, all of these change rounds and shake-ups will start to even themselves out, and we'll know who's who and what we can expect from various teams. So we move into Division 3 West, or 3 West A. Otherwise, Martyn gets very narky if I don't mention the A. So Cardigan, comfortable win, 34-3 over St David's. I got to be honest, we were kind of expecting that. St David's had some fantastic scores last season, but they were very up and down. But then again, so were Cardigan. But Cardigan do just seem to be the stronger of the two at the minute. Haverfordwest beating Neyland 38-7. Again, Haverfordwest have recruited well through the off-season. I haven't found out if Rob Evans was playing. I haven't seen the team lists and what have you from that game. But 38-7, comfortable home win. So yeah, cracking win for Haverfordwest. Larne 25-19 over Aberaeron. Now, this is one that we were not sure just how this was going to work. There's Aberaeron have done really well over the last couple of seasons. Strong team in Aberaeron, benefited from pulling players in from various places. But then Larne, tiny little town, has again kind of done the same and pulled a lot of players in from the surrounding areas. And so it was a real tussle between the two, and it was a close game, 25-19, which is, less than a converted try. So cracking game for both teams. Llanybother hosted Pembroke. Now, Pembroke dropped 2 divisions, so I'm hoping to speak to somebody from Pembroke in the near future and just find out what went on and why they dropped 2. But they've responded in style. It was 74-7 against Llanybother, which, 74-7 in anybody's book is a kick in and a half. So fair play to Pembroke. They've responded the way that we hoped they would, and that's really setting up some cracking games through the season now where, I think people are going to be looking at Pembroke already and going, right, so, these are boys that are putting in a performance. And then speaking of another performance, Pembroke Quins 45, Langham 15, which from what I've seen, the game was better, more evenly matched than that scoreline kind of says. But like we said last season, we interviewed the boys from the Quins last season, and it was a young side that was developing. They had young captains, young scrum halves, young outside halves, and it was going to take time for all of that to come together. And it looks like it's starting. No disrespect to Langham. 3 or 4 seasons ago, you would have expected the Quins to absolutely destroy Langham. So I thought Langham had just done really well to get some points on the board. But, it looks like the Quins are back up to where they were expected to be a few seasons ago. So fixtures for this weekend then. Quins travel up to Aberaeron, which again, that last game last season was called off. So we don't really have a massive amount of data from that. But, Aberaeron at home are a very different kettle of fish. How's that one go? I'd love to call it the Quins, but I just think Aberaeron are going to edge. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think it's going to be a home win for Aberaeron there. Langham host Cardigan. Now, I think this was one of the last games of the last season where Cardigan put a massive score over Langham. I don't think that that's going to happen again, but I do expect a comfortable win for Cardigan, just because, as I say, Langham are always going to struggle, and it takes a lot for Langham to even get a team out, let's be honest. You know, if it was just based on this is how many houses you've got close to your club, Langham wouldn't have a team. So they've got to work really hard to even just exist as a club. But, you know, you never know. They may pull something out the bag, and fair play to them if they do, but I can't see anything other than a Cardigan win there. Neyland and Larne, again, comfortable win for Larne last season. So they seem to have started well this year. Yeah, that game against Haverfordwest for Neyland isn't really a reflection of how the season's going to go. And we're all expecting Haverfordwest to turn it in this season. So, yeah, that could go either way. I think it'd be a close game, but I think Larne might actually just nick that from Neyland. And then we've got St David's hosting Llanybother, which this was one of the games last year where St David's did actually turn in a performance. They won 52-18 last year. Will they do the same again this year? You know, I think Llanybother are still struggling. But it's hard to see how St David's, you know, 34-3 is a bit of a kick in for first game of the season. And as I said already, your second game of the season, you just want, if you've lost that first game, you just need to turn something in. So best of luck to St David's hosting Llanybother. I can see a home win there. I can see St David's nicking it. And if anyone from Llanybother's listening, well, boys, it's a fancy dress must. Send us a photo. You're travelling to St David's. It's got to be fancy dress. World Cup's on, so I'm thinking, you know, it's got to be a French theme. You know, I'm thinking onions and berets and stripy tops and that kind of thing. It's compulsory if you're visiting St David's. So we left the game of the week to last, which is Pembroke hosting Haverfordwest. So, you know, I think this could probably be first against second, one way or the other, come the end of the season. Both sides have started the season really well. You know, a lot of good players have kind of migrated to Haverfordwest. Pembroke have shown that dropping a couple of divisions, maybe they should have only dropped the one. So there's maybe a bit of a chip on the shoulder to prove exactly, you know, this is where they deserve to be. So this is going to be a fantastic game on the weekend. I may even be able to get out if the wife can. I might go and walk the dogs, or pretend to walk the dogs for an hour or so and get up to watch this one, because I think this is going to be a fantastic game this weekend. Who's going to take the spoils on this one? Impossible to say, because as I say, both teams have had a really good start to the season. But I'm going to go for a home win there just because of that chip on the shoulder. And I know that's bugging some of the players and the coaches there. It's going to be enough to take them through. But that's going to be a fantastic one to go and watch this weekend. And that, ladies and gents, is it for this week. That is Westerer is besterer. Like I said, Martin's phone died right at the end there. He was desperately trying to keep it going, but he had to kind of disappear right at the end. So thank you for listening. I say our Scarlets pod is out, where we discuss the Fiji game. If you fancy a bit of the eastern side of the Scarlets region, the Saucepan Central podcast is out as well. We're Westerer is besterer. Please tell your friends, enjoy your rugby, and we'll be back to do it all again next week. All the very best. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Westerer is besterer podcast. You can contact us through Facebook or on Twitter, or by emailing scarletspems@gmail.com. Please do subscribe and share, as it really helps spread the word in West Wales. All the best.
Sports Social Podcast Network.